There's a lady named Marcia Fudge. She's the chairman of the Congressional Black Caucus, and she was leading a group of people who went after John McCain. Hat tip, CNS News, cut one, go.
They have never called a male unqualified, not bright, not trustworthy.
Stop. You're a liar. You're a liar. And I would say that about you no matter who you are, what you are, your genitalia, or anything else. We've never called a male unqualified, not bright, not trustworthy. Have you ever heard of Joe Biden? Have you ever heard of Harry Reid? They're not only males, they're white. Wow. But we've never said that about any male, have we? So first and foremost, Marcia Fudge, you're a liar. Go ahead.
I don't recall it ever happening. They didn't even say that about General Petraeus, who they all up in arms about.
Stop.
So,
say what about General Petraeus? That he's unqualified? Well, he is qualified. That he's not bright? But he is bright. That he's not trustworthy? Well, obviously, in certain aspects of his life, we now know that he's not trustworthy. Okay? Go ahead.
there is a clear, in my opinion, a clear sexism and racism.
Oh, stop. Yes, there is. And your incessant, endless, multi-year-long attack on Sarah Palin is sexist and perhaps even racist. Because what else explains it? What else explains it? Go ahead.
With these comments that are being made by, unfortunately, Senator McCain and others. And I strongly stand by that statement.
Oh, you strongly stand by your statement. Well, good for you. Good for you. A real standout member of Congress there, Marcia Fudge of Ohio. Then there's James Clyburn. I think he's the number 3 Democrat. Let's hear what he had to say today on CNN Hat Tip the Hill with Soledad O'Brien. There's a winner. Cut 2, go.
Would you agree with what she's saying, that there's a racial or sexist component to a lot of these comments? Or would you say, as the letter seems to say, they use the word incompetent and they use the word undermining the desire to improve, U.S. relations?
These are code words.
Stop. Oh, incompetent is a code word. Can somebody provide me this book with all the code words in it? Because I certainly don't want to use code words. The word incompetent. Really? Incompetent? So when I call Obama incompetent, that's racist? How about when I call 100 white politicians incompetent? Is that racist? How about when I, as a Jewish person, attack Chuck Schumer and call him an incompetent boob? What's that? Is that sexist? Is he a female? You liberals, and that's what you are, you statist leftists from all walks of life, all ethnicities, pushing the same agenda. You think you're going to intimidate we the people, the American people, with this crap, this manufactured crap? You think you're going to intimidate us? That we can't call Susan Rice an incompetent? How about a liar for what she did? Because it turns out she knew what was on those original talking points. How about it? We're going to be intimidated? Oh, all these old white guys. So now it's what's below your waist and in your pants or under your dress. It's the color of your skin. And they do not want to talk about what's between your ears, what's in your conscience and your heart, and what you've actually done. We can't have that now, can we, ladies and gentlemen? Go ahead with the James Clyburn, the genius. Go ahead.
We heard them during the campaign. During this recent campaign, we heard Senator Sununu calling our president lazy.
Stop. The president himself in an interview called himself lazy. And the truth is, the guy missed half or so of his intelligence briefings, which may or may not have had an effect in this Benghazi matter, and that is lazy. Go ahead.
Incompetent. These kinds of terms that those of us, especially those of us who were born and raised in the South, we've been hearing these little words and phrases all of our lives, and we get insulted by them.
Oh, I'm sorry. Were you insulted, Mr. Clyburn, by $500 million in ads destroying Mitt Romney's character? Did that insult you? Which one of those ads insulted you? Because I don't remember you speaking up. How about the endless attacks on Sarah Palin and her children? Any of that insult you, Mr. Clyburn? Did you run to the microphone and talk about sexism and misogyny then? Did you? No, you didn't. How come? How come? When Alan West was brutalized by the liberal media in South Florida, and when these far left-wing groups were pouring money into that campaign to trash the man, And when that creep Murphy, Patrick Murphy, ran commercials with Alan West with a gold tooth, punching an old white woman, doing all kinds of stuff, where were you, Clyburn? Did you talk up then about racism? Did you talk then about your experience in the South? You didn't say a damn thing, did you? And neither did Marcia Fudge, did she? You're not fooling anybody, and you're certainly not intimidating anybody. I am sick of this race baiting. Whomever does it, however it's done. We're a great nation. We're a tolerant nation. Why do you think people from Africa try to come to this country? Why do you think people from South America try to come to this country and Eastern Europe and everywhere else? White, black, brown. Why do you think people from China try to come to this country? If we're the kind of country that Marcia Fudge and James Clyburn and many, many more say we are, why do they come here? These people are manufacturing racism because they're trying to stop debate. And let me remind Mr. Clyburn and Ms. Fudge of a fact. If we play your game, which is a very dangerous, poisonous game, those 4 Americans who were assassinated, who were brutalized in Benghazi were all white. They have families too. And maybe you, Mr. Clyburn, should pay a little less attention to your propaganda and your demagoguery and a little more attention to their fates in trying to help us figure out exactly what happened, who dropped the ball, and the nature of the cover-up that's been going on. Because, Mr. Clyburn, they have families too. They may be old white people, but they have families too. Stop the race baiting. How many blacks are in the U.S. Senate? As of right now, I don't think there are any. And if I miss somebody, it's not intentional. I'm sorry, but I don't think there are any blacks in the U.S. Senate. Now, this raises an interesting question, doesn't it? Because Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who prides herself on being a minority, apparently, although there are more women in this country than men, so I don't get that. But that said, she said when you look at the House, you will see the Democrat side is a majority-minority, and on the Republican side, you'll see mostly white, as they defeat our minority candidates and throw everything they can at them. So I said, okay, now let me look over at the Senate. You know what I see over at the Senate? I see a Democrat Party that got 95% of the Democrat vote. And it's blindingly, blizzard-like white. So how do the Democrats respond to that? I believe there are no African Americans in the United States Senate right now. And yet election after election, black Americans, because not all black Americans are African heritage, like Caribbean and so forth, so black Americans vote overwhelmingly for Democrats. And look at the payback. I see only white. So here I am. I'm using the James Clyburn, Marcia Fudge prism. That is, look at everything through the eye of race baiting. And I don't see any blacks in the United States Senate. Now, that's not representative of the American people. Certainly not representative of the 95% of the vote of the black people in this country. Isn't that amazing? Should we take a walk through some of the really, really blue states and look at the governors? I'm looking at California, Mr. Producer. You know what I see? A white guy. Oh, I'm looking at New York. You know what I see? A white guy. I'm looking at Illinois. You know what I see? A white guy. Oh, my goodness. Now, we're not supposed to like white guys. Now, they win election in New York, in California, in Illinois, in large measure due to the black vote. No blacks. Isn't that amazing? Just like the Democrat Party is supposed to be the party of the middle class. Sure, it's the party of black people, except black people don't get the... Well, Mark, what about the president? Okay, yes, the president's half black, half white, but I'm not talking about that. You don't get gimmies. All right, we got the House, There are no black senators as best as I know, as best as I can tell. I haven't looked at the whole list, but that's my understanding. 95% of the Democrat vote, and not one. Now, James Clyburn, I have an article here in front of me sent by our buddy Don from Lake Ronkonkoma from the Examiner. James Clyburn saying that Sarah Palin is intellectually unable to understand the issue of rhetoric. Did you say that, Congressman Clyburn? That Sarah Palin was intellectually unable to understand the issue of rhetoric? Sounds sexist to me. What do you think about that, Congressman? You know what, Congressman Clyburn? I think you're an idiot. Now, I would say you're an idiot, regardless of your race, regardless of your genitalia, regardless of physical features, because you're just an idiot. And I think there are millions of Americans who would agree with me, from all walks of life, who think you're an idiot, because of the content of your character, such as it is. Now, you're the number 4 Democrat in Congress. You throw an awful lot of political hand grenades. You're among the most leftists in there. You're doing everything you can to undermine the principles that I believe in, the Constitution that I believe in, the economic system that I believe in. And we're more than happy to debate all these things, but we're not going to sit silent while you try and quiet people. You guys trashed our ambassador, an old white guy, but he wasn't even that old. You trash our women, you trash our minorities, you trash our men, you trash our race, you trash our businesses, and we're not going to sit here and just take it. You're not going to intimidate us.